I do want to talk a little bit, though, about the war in Israel between Israel and Hamas, because shit is hitting the fan over there. And basically, I just have one question. Can we call it genocide yet? Let's look up the definition of genocide, okay? I just want to look, let's just go to, let's see, genocide. Genocide, the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. This is the entry about genocide on Wikipedia. Okay, the intentional destruction of a people in whole or part. The United Nations Genocide Convention defined genocide as any of 5 acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. These 5 acts were killing members of the group, causing them serious bodily or mental harm, imposing living conditions intending to destroy the group, preventing births, and forcibly transferring children out of the group. Victims are targeted because of their real or perceived membership of a group, not randomly. Kind of sounds pretty close to what's going on there in Israel-Palestine, wouldn't you say? I mean, here's the thing about that, folks, right? There are 2 million people, roughly, maybe a little bit more, that live in the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is a 25-mile-long strip of land that is enclosed on all sides. Roughly 50% of the population there is under the age of 20. So they're all young people. About 1 million of those people are young people, young adults to children. And over the last month, since the Hamas attack, which killed roughly 1,200 people, I believe it was between 12 to 1,500 people that were killed in the initial Hamas attack, the Israeli response has claimed roughly 10 times that amount. The estimate that I'm seeing now on the low side is 11,200 people now dead. 11,200. Let's take the high estimate, and let's say 1,500 people killed in the initial Hamas terrorist attack. There are now almost 10 times as many people from the low estimate. Please remember, this is an estimate. The actual real amount can be a factor of times larger than this. It can be twice, even 3 or 4 times as high as that. I've heard as much as 15,000. Another thing that I've heard is that an estimated 20,000 people are buried under the debris. Something around 40% of all of the homes in Gaza have been destroyed. 40%. So that means 40% of 2.5 million people are now homeless, right? That's pretty fucking bad. They have no access to food, no access to clean water. There was some rain recently there, and a lot of people were upset at that, saying that they have no shelter to stay out of the rain. But then I also heard a conflicting report where some of the people there are happy that it's raining because it means now that they actually can get some clean drinking water. Because for the last 3 weeks, there hasn't been any clean drinking water in the entire Gaza Strip. Pretty freaking horrible. And so, yeah, shit is just hitting the fan there. Roughly 1 million of those people have been evacuated from the northern part of the Gaza Strip. Remember, this area is only 25 miles long and something like 10 miles wide. So we're looking at, maybe 250 square miles. A very, very small area with 2 million people in it. That means it's super fucking crowded. And they basically forced 1 million of those people to flee to the south, and then they bombed them in the south. You remember the hospital 2 weeks ago? There was the Al-Shifa hospital that was bombed, and it was a huge deal. It's like, oh, Israel bombed this hospital. And then Israel said, no, it's the evidence shows that it was actually a Hamas rocket that fell and blew up in the parking lot. And then, there was this big debate here. And then, one side was blaming the other side. And even me, myself, in one of my other videos, at the time, it was just, the conflict just started. And from what I was reading, it said the evidence showed that rocket actually was a displaced Hamas rocket. And I even said so. Since that happened, that was bad, right? Since that happened, that same hospital has been bombed a number of times since then. The IDF destroyed the solar panels that were in the hospital. So there's no electricity. They blow up the solar panels. That means that they were relying on generators then. It takes something like 30,000 liters of fuel a day. Something ridiculous like that. This like incredibly huge ass number of liters of fuel in order to run the generators. Well, why does this hospital need generators? Because there's babies on incubators who will die if there's no generators. There's people on life support who will die. And besides that, they can't treat the thousands and thousands of people who are coming in with injuries. The hospital only had 700 beds that filled up really, really quickly. There's people right now, apparently, as of this morning, I heard a report on Democracy Now! Where they said that doctors are doing surgery outside, like in the open, outside, no medical equipment, right? They're basically no painkillers, so they're doing surgery on people. People are showing up with shrapnel and shit inside of them, and they're like arms and legs blown off, that kind of thing. And the doctors are forced to work on them, to do surgery on them, without any fucking pain relief. So basically they're cutting people open and pulling out shrapnel and shit with no pain suppression. Nothing like that. People are fucking like suffering and dying from that shit. They're doing it straight out in the open, no beds on the ground. It's incredibly unsanitary. So half these people are going to die of infections after that. There's no medicine to treat infections either. That's what's going on there, right? So it kind of puts it in perspective. It's like, oh, 2 weeks ago they bombed a hospital, but we haven't kept up with what's been going on since then, right? There's a video on Reddit that I saw, which I'm not going to play it here because it's gory, and it'll definitely get me kicked off of Twitch if I were to play it. But basically, what it was a R9X Hellfire missile that hits the parking lot. And what this is, it's called a ninja bomb. I didn't even know what the fucking... This is like a real shit, a ninja bomb. That sounds like something you get in a video game, doesn't it? Sounds like something I'm going to upgrade my spaceship with fucking ninja bombs. That sounds awesome. Ninja bombs apparently do not have explosives on them. What they have are blades that shoot out. And they're designed for killing infantry. So if you have like a group of like if you want to quietly assassinate some people from say a drone strike or something, and you don't want to like cause a huge ass explosion for whatever reason, then you drop a fucking ninja bomb on them. And what it does is that it falls and blades fly out and chop people up. And in this video that's on Reddit, I'll put a link down in the description. Well, actually, I don't know if I can do that either. I don't know if I'm allowed to link to shit like that. So just fucking, if you want to see it, just search for fucking ninja bomb. R9 Hellfire ninja bomb on Reddit. You'll find it. Anyway, there's a video of a guy in the parking lot and his fucking leg gets chopped off. The people are just sitting there, they're chilling. You can hear explosions going on, whatever, in the background. And then you see this thing fall, and a dude fall over screaming, grabbing his leg with blood everywhere. His fucking leg gets chopped off by blades that fly out of a bomb. And this is just, these are not fighters. These are not these are not terrorists. These are civilians. Civilians who the majority of them are under the age of like 25. Because what do you hear about all of this? Every time Israel decides to go kill a bunch of civilians, what do you hear? Oh, well, they're human shields, is what they are. Hamas is putting them there on purpose in order to stop us from doing anything. And so we can't not kill them. We have to kill them. We don't have a choice because they're being used as human shields. Which is, of course, bullshit. Basically, that's become an excuse. Anytime that Israel, like, the IDF, anytime they, like, blow up an ambulance or blow up a hospital or blow up somebody's house or blow up a car that just has, like, you know, women and children in it, anytime they do some shit like that, they just claim that, yeah, these are Hamas fighters. And, you know, we didn't have a choice. And I use that hospital example because they actually fucking did that. This is actually from the Israeli Defense Forces. Okay. November 3rd, a Hamas terrorist cell was identified using an ambulance. In response, an IDF aircraft struck and neutralized the Hamas terrorists who were operating within the ambulance, i.e. they blew up a fucking ambulance. We emphasize that this area in Gaza is a war zone. Civilians are repeatedly called upon to evacuate southward for their own safety. So basically, they just decided they blew up an ambulance. And instead of going, oh shit, we blew up an ambulance, it was an accident, they go, no, they were just Hamas fighters inside the ambulance. Okay. That's what they do. That's what Israel is doing. So anytime Israel blows anything up, they go, yeah, okay, they just happen to be Hamas fighters. You know, it's Hamas. They're people using them as human shields. Okay, human shields, huh? Here is a video. Right here. This is another article. Excuse me, not a video. It's an article from the New York Times. Hamas put wounded fighters on departure list, delaying efforts to evacuate foreigners, U.S. official says. It's not going to let me read this without paying, but I'll put the link down in the thing for you guys. Long story short, they stopped people evacuating the country because Israel said, oh, a bunch of these people are actually secretly Hamas, so we're not going to let them leave. It's like they're not even trying. Like, why would you, like they wouldn't have let people evacuate because they were claiming that Hamas was trying to sneak out of the country or some shit like that. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but the leadership of Hamas is not in the West Bank, or they're not in the Gaza Strip anyway. They're in Qatar. So it's like you're not even going to get the leadership of Hamas, even if you kill every single person in the fucking Gaza Strip. You're still not going to get them because they're not there to fucking begin with. So why are you... It doesn't make any sense is what it is. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's like they're just wantonly killing as many fucking people as they can and using the excuse of, oh, well, there was a Hamas fighter there in order to stop it. Another example here. This is a video that went viral. Let's turn this on here. New York Post, viral video appears to show Hamas firing on civilians fleeing Gaza hospital. Now, I want to kind of point this out to you, right? Because look at this headline. Viral video appears to show Hamas firing on civilians fleeing Gaza hospital. Okay. And it's a video, if you watch it, basically people are leaving and then they say that snipers start shooting at them as they're... Because what it is that the people started to leave this hospital because the hospital was surrounded by tanks. Tanks surrounded this hospital. So people were like, shit, they're going to blow the hospital up. So people start leaving the hospital waving white flags and shit. The people, they went and they got a bunch of bed sheets and stuff and they made makeshift white flags with them. Now let's read the article here, okay? Harrowing video shows civilians being shot at, apparently by Hamas snipers, while trying to flee a pediatric cancer hospital where terrorists have barricaded themselves against the ongoing ground assault by Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip. So far, my bullshit meter is fucking ringing red alert right now, but let's continue. Footage posted on X Friday shows families walking in onto a side street waving white flags before gunfire is heard, sending the crowd scrambling for shelter while a child can be heard crying. Media intelligence agency Storyful confirmed that the video was recorded in the Al Nasser Pediatric Hospital based on Google Maps images, but was unable to say whether the terror group or Israeli forces were responsible. So, they don't know who did it. See, the fucking headline says Hamas did it, but if you actually read, the actual journalists who were there don't know who did it. Then let's read a little more. Independent journalist Alexander Higgins reported on X that jihadists began shooting after Israeli forces agreed to allow civilians to evacuate the hospital. Okay, an independent journalist said that Hamas shot their own people. Okay. All right. Then let's read some more. Israeli Defense Forces have surrounded the facility, which it says doubles as a terrorist citadel as it attempts to root out Hamas in response to October 7th attack in southern Israel, blah, 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 1,400 civilians, including 33 Americans. So this is so these people, what it is they were leaving, and then people start shooting at them, and so then they start running for cover, right? So, now you sound it's like, okay, the IDF has the place surrounded with tanks. Surrounded with tanks. So let's just get that situation here. Let's set the setting. There's a hospital filled with civilians surrounded by the IDF with tanks. Hamas snipers, instead of shooting at the IDF, decide to shoot at people fleeing the hospital. We're supposed to believe this. Why? Because these people are quote-unquote human shields. I don't find it plausible. It's not believable to me. It's absolutely not believable. This is more people, we were carrying white flags when we walked out. We passed by the tanks. I was meters away from one. As he walked past, he saw the tanks close in on the building. I don't find it believable. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's like, here we go. Here's inside. One person identified themselves as a member of the hospital staff, pleaded for help online, claiming they were surrounded. We were blockaded inside by a hospital by tanks. We're exposed to heavy fire against us. So the tanks were shooting at them. Where are the Hamas snipers? Are they in surrounding buildings? Are they in the hospital itself shooting out of windows down at the people there? Or is it more likely that these are actually Israeli snipers shooting at these people? I don't buy it. I don't buy the official line there. Let's turn that off. I don't buy the official line that Hamas is bombing their own people, that Hamas is shooting at their own people. I don't buy it. Now, I could believe, for example, that they would put their facilities in things like schools and hospitals. I could believe that, because that makes sense, because those places are less likely to be bombed. And there's even an article about that, because that's what the IDF is saying. The IDF is saying that under this particular hospital, the Al-Shifa hospital, that there's tunnels and shit. And that leads us to our next little article here. Washington Post, Israeli troops scour Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital for evidence of Hamas. So this is a little bit later. They've actually gone and taken over. This is the Al-Shifa hospital. It's the same one where they bombed the fucking parking lot. It's the same one where they blew up the fucking solar panels. It's the same one where, like, they left them with no electricity, where people are doing surgery in the goddamn dirt. And Yahoo, he knows how bad this looks. And he knows that it makes him look like a fucking genocidal madman. And so he's doing these stunts in order to try to fool people into thinking that he's like, we're really trying not to kill civilians. Like, there's another story where they said, oh, we offered to give them some fuel for their generators. Because, they blew up their fucking solar panels, right? We offered to give them some fuel for their generators, and then they wouldn't take it. And then you actually read the article, and you find out that they wanted to give them 300 gallons of fuel. And they didn't leave it at the hospital. They left it, like, 10 miles away. So they would have to go through, like, fucking miles and miles of fucking war zone with, like, drones and shit blowing up cars and, like, murdering civilians on the streets. And people getting shot and, like, blown away by snipers and shit like that. They've already blown up fucking ambulances. They can't send an ambulance to go get it. And they wonder why nobody went and took them up on their offer. And then plus the fact that 300 gallons will only run the fucking hospital for, like, an hour. They need, like, an ungodly amount of fuel in order to keep the fucking incubators on. Apparently it got so bad that they had to shut all the fucking... They had no power. They took all of the premature birth, little babies, and they put them all on a bed and they swaddled them to try to keep them warm with, like, body heat. because that was the only alternative they had. And do you think the little children are going to survive? Like, apparently some of these little, like, you know, they're premature births, right? Some of them are actually younger than the conflict. Like, they were just born a couple of days ago and shit like that. You know, that kind of happens too, right? When you have a war and stress and everything, it can cause things like premature births. And apparently that's so fucking bad. And so, like, they went in to, like, save these babies. And they're turning that into a big thing too. You know, trying to get, like, some humanitarian brownie points. So we went into this hospital and we saved these little babies. It's like, you motherfuckers caused that problem in the first place. You don't get jack shit. You don't get credit for saving of babies from dying when you fucking put them in danger to begin with. Fuck you. Let's read the article here. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, but I don't care. Israeli troops scour Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital for evidence of Hamas. Okay. The Israeli raid on Gaza Strip's largest hospital stretched into its second day Thursday as troops search for evidence of the extensive Hamas infrastructure that Israeli and U.S. officials have said lies beneath the facility. The Israeli Defense Forces said Thursday that searches had uncovered the body of a captive Israeli woman in a house near the hospital, along with weapons. Okay. That's not in the hospital, that's near the hospital, but alright. Wednesday, IDF released photographs and video of small caches of weapons it said belonged to Hamas. Military added to its case Thursday with a photo and video of a rough cavity that described as an operational tunnel shaft. Washington Post verified the location of the shaft inside the Al-Shifa hospital complex, but could not identify where the opening led or what its purpose might be. Israel has yet to produce findings that corroborate its claims that Al-Shifa sits atop Hamas headquarters and was central to the militant group's operations in northern Gaza. So they don't actually have any proof yet. I mean, here's the thing, folks, right? Let's turn this shit off. Like I said before, I find it plausible that that could actually be a thing. That I find it plausible that they would actually do that. That they would conceivably put tunnels underneath a hospital or a school or something like that, or a daycare, because it's less likely to be bombed. But that doesn't give you an excuse to go fucking surround it with tanks and to bomb it and to shoot people who try to fucking leave it. That doesn't excuse that at all. That doesn't give you an excuse to drop a ninja bomb on somebody in the parking lot and chop his fucking legs off. Right? That doesn't mean that you deprive them of power so that fucking premature infants freeze to death. That doesn't mean you cut off all the water so people start fucking dying of cholera and like dysentery and shit. People are drinking seawater over there. I don't think like you guys don't understand. I mean, if you haven't been keeping track of what's happening there, there's no water. People are drinking seawater. That will kill you. You will die. If you drink seawater, you will die. But it's better than dying of fucking thirst, apparently. That's what's happening there, folks. Okay, we are not doing it. Our army is not there killing these people. But every single one of these bombs that gets dropped there says made in the United States on it. Right? We're paying for this shit. We give Israel $3 billion a year, normally, as just part of our normal, ordinary defense budget. $3 billion goes to Israel every fucking year. By default. You know, this latest budget that Biden wanted to give, this combined with the Ukraine thing, he wanted an extra $100 million to support Ukraine and to support Israel here. Ukraine, I think, deserves that money. They need that money. Ukraine, the war in Ukraine is actually justified. Those people were actually attacked. They're fighting for their fucking lives. And their nation. Israel isn't fighting for their fucking nation. They're fighting a terrorist group. Okay? They killed the fucking terrorists already. Even on the low estimate. 10 times more than the amount that the terrorists did. Like, at what point do you get to call it genocide? When do we get to call it genocide? It kind of sounds like genocide to me. We looked at that definition earlier today. When you try to destroy the national identity of a people, that's classified as genocide. I think at the very least we can call it ethnic cleansing, because that's what they're trying to do. They've announced that they're just going to basically, the plans The plans for the post-war is that they're not giving the Gaza Strip back to the Gazans. No, they're just going to take it. They're just going to annex it. And right now, Netanyahu is negotiating with Egypt to try to get them to set up a tent city so that they can expel the Gazans out of their land. Now remember, this is all these people have left 70 years ago when they first basically lost everything they had. They call that the Nakba, which is, I think it means disaster in Arabic. But that's when the first time, when these people were kicked out of their homes and all their land was stolen the first time. How they got stuck in this fucking giant open air prison in the fucking first place. And now like 3 generations of people over 70 years have just been stuck in this fucking 250 square mile area. No rights. No way of getting out. Right? I mean, their human rights violated on a fucking daily basis, and now they're just being wantonly murdered, and nobody's doing a goddamn thing about it. And we're going along with it. Our country, we're going along with it. You know, I could see right now, like, because you could say, like, okay, what do we do about it, right? What are we going to do about it? Okay, we know that shit's happening. We know it's bad. What can we do to stop it right now? And yeah, there's protests happening and stuff all over the country, and that's good. Get out there, protest, write your congressman, all that shit too. I think there's going to be consequences. You know, I'm pretty sure now that Joe Biden is going to lose in 2024. Pretty sure he's going to lose. If he doesn't die of old age or whatever, or pneumonia or some shit before the election, pretty sure he's toast. And there's a lot of different factors involved in that. But the biggest factor, I think, is just the loss of the left. The people in this country who held their nose and voted for him last time because he was the logical choice over a fucking fascist, they're not going to come out this time. Even if it's the right thing. I personally think it's the right thing to do to vote for Joe Biden. I personally think that. I think I would still, even genocidal Joe, I would still have him over an open fascist who's going to take away our rights and destroy democracy. That's what Donald Trump is, right? But I think most people they're not going to see it that way. Most people on the far left in this country, the people that support the Palestinians, they're not going to forget this. They're going to be like, hey, when the shit was down, he sided with the fucking murderers. He sided with the genociders. And they're not going to forget it. And they're going to be like, okay, well, Trump sucks too, but Donald Trump didn't fucking do that. And they're going to vote for Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump is going to fuck this country up again for 4 fucking years. And possibly fucking, like, resulting in a fucking fascist takeover or some shit. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe Donald Trump will go to prison and we won't have anything to worry about. But somehow I doubt it. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure that's what needs to happen. Unless Joe Biden does something to fucking turn his shit around, unless he comes out and says, hey, we need ceasefire, Israel needs to stop fucking killing civilians, unless he does a 180, he's toast. It's over. People aren't going to support him, right? Even though it's like, we all know logically in our heads, he's the right person that we should vote. When it comes between him and Trump, we should vote for him. People aren't going to do it. There's going to be a section of people on the left, Democrats, who are just not going to fucking put up with it this time. And they're going to say, damn the consequences. Fuck it. Can you blame him? Can you blame him? If he's going to do this shit, if we're going to, why hold your nose and vote for the lesser of two evils if he's still evil? Right? So I'm not going to give any, this time, this next election, I am not going to give anybody shit for doing that protest vote. Not going to give anybody shit at all, even though I know Donald Trump. We all know. That's the thing. We all know Donald Trump is wrong. We all know he's bad. We all know what he's going to do and how he's going to fuck shit up. And the risk involved in letting an out-and-out fascist take power, still pretty sure it's gone past that pale now. It's gone beyond that point where people aren't going to hold their nose anymore. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe the Democrats need to feel some consequences too. It's fucked up. our world just got 10 times worse. And I mean, in the meantime, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people are dying every week over there. And it's fucked up, folks. What can we do about it? Not much. It's really jacked up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't have any solutions. All I can do is comment on what's happening. What's happening doesn't look good. I cry for our planet sometimes. I cry for the rule of law. I cry for international peace. Because it looks like shit just gets worse and worse every year. What can you do, folks, right? Vote. Sometimes it seems like not even voting is enough, though, right? Vote, stand in solidarity, donate your time and your money to causes that you think can help people. That's all we can really do. And support the people who deserve to be supported, I guess. Maybe one day things might come to a head in this country as well. I sincerely hope that violence like this, political, ethnic violence that we see there in Israel and the West and Gaza and the West Bank and all that, I really, really pray, even though I'm like essentially I'm pretty much a fucking, atheist, but I pray anyway, that this never happens in our country. That it never gets to that point. One cannot control the future.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.